Welcome and good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, November 6th, 2018 meeting of the Long Meadow School Committee. I call the meeting to order. This meeting's been recorded and aired live by, this meeting is being recorded and aired live by LCTV, as well as being live streamed on longmeadow.org. It's a legal requirement for anyone else to disclose if they are recording this meeting. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have some correspondence to start us off.
An email letter dated October 31st, 2018 from Ms. Diane Porfilio regarding a seal meeting on November 6th.
Okay, we can move into the approval of minutes. We have several recommended motions.
I move that the school committee approve the minutes to the October 9th, 2018 school committee meeting as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, motion passes.
I move that the school committee approve the minutes to the October 23rd, 2018 school committee meeting as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed or abstaining?
I move that the school committee approve the minutes to the October 29th, 2018 joint school committee meeting as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, we have no visitor comments this evening. Anyone have any school committee announcements or recognitions?
Really quickly, love the Leaf Gala. I went to that the other night. Looked good. Appreciate what those people do, giving teachers grants. I also love that I left really early. Pulled a nice Irish exit around 8:25, and it was good. But I think we should all appreciate what those folks do for the kids.
Well said, Ryan. I couldn't agree more. That is, it's at the heart of what we all do, right? Business with
17
guests.
years. 17 years counting. I didn't go this year, but I've been involved for 17 years.
It's great. We're really fortunate to have Leaf in this town. And certainly the people that organize it, I know the work that goes into an event like that, so I'm glad you were able to enjoy it. Any business with guests? We do not have any guests this evening. We do not have any administrative reports. This is really a brief housekeeping meeting because we do have some recommended motions in terms of finance and some building use things to approve. So we can move right to the subcommittee reports, and we'll start off with Finance Subcommittee.
You can go ahead. Are we just doing the motions?
Well, we met twice, October 22nd and on Monday, November 5th. So there are a couple items on the agenda tonight for consideration, two being facility use requests. The first is from the Wolf Swamp PTA for use of the Wolf Swamp School on November 24th, Saturday, November 24th, from 9 to 1 p.m., the gym and cafeteria for their annual turkey trot. And the second building use request is from the Youth Basketball Association for 12 Saturday dates beginning on December 1st through February 16th. For use of the Glenbrook Gym between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. Both are annual events, but require school committee approval.
You're going to go through any, we're starting there?
Sure.
Or we're going through them all? How do you want?
I think we can just go right through the recommended motions for the building use and
Okay.
vote on them, and then we can talk about the utility company.
Okay. I move that the school committee approve the facility use request for the Wolf Swamp Road School, from the Wolf Swamp Road School PTA to use Wolf Swamp Road School's cafeteria and gym on Saturday, November 24th for their annual turkey trot.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, motion passes.
I move that the school committee approve the facility use request from the Glenbrook Middle School Gymnasium for the Youth Basketball Association season beginning December 1st, 2018 and running through February 16th, 2019 on Saturdays.
Any further discussion?
Uh,
Armand?
Yeah, I received a couple questions from parents regarding why the basketball association is charged for the gym. And I'm assuming it's for the heat and the other utilities, the electricity, but I just didn't want to give an answer without knowing the real answer.
Yeah, that is correct. In order for the lights and heat to be turned on during the use, we do have a reduced rate per our building use fees for nonprofit organizations, and that's what they're charged. They also are charged for the custodial overtime at the individual who is actually working's rate. So whatever the cost is for them to be there is charged back, since they normally wouldn't be there on a Saturday.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Armand. Thanks, Tom. We have a motion on the table, so no other discussion. Call for a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Motion passes.
So do we want to
And
do
then,
the...
do you want to talk about the special ed?
Sure. I don't know if Marty
Yeah,
wants to
sure.
take.
Thanks, Tom. And so Long Meadow, like many communities, experiencing a growth in the number of students who have a diagnosis of autism. And so we've been talking for some time, the committee's been talking for some time about the expansion of the LINK program, certainly at the elementary level. So now we have a LINK program at Blueberry Hill and Wolf Swamp. And so the need now is kind of washing over the middle schools. And so we're anxious to support the students with that disability. And so kind of mid-year, experiencing a greater than anticipated need. And so Ms. Fontaine had come to Tom and I to talk about adding a LINK program at the middle school level this year to emerging student needs. And so this request would require the school committee to approve an addition to the FY19 budget of a special education teacher and a paraprofessional to staff the program. We anticipated that this was going to be part of the FY20 budget proposal. I think we had even talked about that last year. And so, we have an opportunity now to serve the students who have this need, but also through some of the unanticipated savings that we've experienced in special education, we think that we can absorb this in the existing budget. So Finance Subcommittee had an opportunity to consider this, and there's a recommended motion in your packet.
Karen?
Where are these students coming from outside district back into the district?
So part of the reason that the need was greater than anticipated is that there were some move-ins. So one move-in occurred at the end of last year, sort of after the FY19 budget had been set, and then one of the move-ins came more recently. So there's a cohort of students whose needs are such that we could build a program around them, and it would really help us avoid the costs that would be associated with potentially serving them out of district. So,
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so we have a recommended motion.
I move on the recommendation of the Finance Subcommittee that the school committee approve the creation of a LINK program at the middle school level and the addition to the FY19 budget of a special education teacher and paraprofessional to staff the program.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, so the motion passes.
thank you.
And then we have the utility company, the energy efficiency contract, which we have discussed at length in Finance Sub. But if Tom, you want to give a synopsis?
Sure. So I was approached maybe 4 or 5 months ago from representatives from Eversource about a program where they would come in and basically retrofit the lights in the classroom from the current CFLs to LED lighting, with the proposal being funded by a portion from a small business enterprise fund that customers pay into monthly on their utility bills. We've engaged in this program twice in the past. I believe the first year was in '09, the second time was in 2014. Both times, those programs had a payback of 4 years. Currently, with the amount that the utility would be willing to basically give as an incentive towards this project would be about 2/3 or a little more than 2/3 of the total project cost. It would be the 5 schools exclusive of the high school. The total project is $350,000. $243,000 of that would come from the utility fund that they have to offset these projects, with $107,000 being financed over the course of 2 years on the utility bills for each of the 5 schools. The monthly payments would be approximately $4,500, just under $4,500, with the estimated savings to be about the same amount. I think that we'd be cash flow positive on a monthly basis of $26. After the loans are paid off in 2 years, then we would benefit from the full savings of approximately $4,500 a month moving forward. So just looking at the shortening of the term of the loan and switching over to LED, which has a much longer life expectancy than the current type of bulbs we have, so the long-term maintenance cost of replacing bulbs most certainly was something that we looked at. Finance Sub had some questions for me to go back, and I'm trying to connect with a couple districts where they've engaged in this project just to get feedback from them in regards to how it went and if there were any feedback from the occupants of the space. I did touch base with 2 districts. Unfortunately, they were both had PD days. I spoke to an office member from a 3rd school, and she couldn't speak for any teachers, but she did say the office was switched out also. It was brighter, and most certainly made a difference in terms of the working environment that she was in, but she didn't have any direct knowledge of any feedback from teachers, so she would pass the message on to the administrator in the building and hopefully get back to me. So there is, Finance Sub did recommend it. I do think it's worthwhile. I don't know that I would have brought it forward if I didn't think it was an investment that was worth consideration. It did say that we just finished paying off the last round earlier this summer, but based on the level of incentive that the utility is providing, I think it's worth it to take this opportunity and take advantage of the program.
Thank you, Tom.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Melanie?
Tom, did you say 2 years on that repay?
Yeah, it's 24 months is the
That's-
term of the payment for the district side of the project of $107,000.
And you said we'll still come ahead even with the repurchasing of the LED lights and no Mass Save? Mass Save doesn't come in for,
I don't know that they do it for commercial vendors or government accounts. This is the program we've always benefited from. So the last 2 times, or at least the last one specifically, we did get some LED on the exterior of the buildings and in the gymnasiums, but the classrooms were not. I believe the hallways were, but now they're proposing coming back. The proposal is that the savings in terms of the reduction in the kilowatt hours that the switch out would provide would equate to just under the amount of the monthly payments. I did go back and look at our kilowatt hour consumption for the last 10 years just to see, are we really seeing a decline based on the fact that we've made these investments previously? And it does appear that we've had about a 20% reduction over the course of the last 10 years. Can I say it's all attributed to changes in the fixtures themselves? Hard to say, probably not. Hopefully behaviors of occupants also shutting the lights off contributes to that, but it does seem to at least have the benefit of a reduction in the amount of kilowatt hours that we consume on an annual basis.
Can you remind us when they need an answer by?
They said it would take 4 to 6 weeks in order to order all of the materials, and that the projects had to be completed by January 31st in order to benefit from the incentive from the fund. So they were hoping by mid-November or so. they said if they got an answer by mid-November, they guaranteed they'd have the projects completed by January 31st.
So my thing, I know we made the motion, and everything to me makes sense financially, as well as the reduction in energy use. The one piece that I would hate to just go forward with without getting that input is kind of investing in something you haven't seen. So just to hear how those, a couple of the schools, how those light bulbs are. I'd hate to go through the entire school and redo it and then have everybody, you know, chances are they're gonna be fine from everything that they gave, but we can wait till the next meeting, it might be, you know, just worth, just hearing from 2 schools that had them done. Otherwise, you know, LED lights are different. You can buy one that's great, and you can buy a different kind that's just not. It sounds like they're fine, but it's just that last piece. So if they don't need it, if they can wait until the vote the next time, I think I'd hate to go through and retrofit everything and then find out that we hate it. So.
Armand?
Sorry, these old eyes can't read that little writing. Is this exterior or just interior?
This would be all interior, all the classroom lights. So
Okay.
the buildings all exterior have LED. Now they're proposing to do the interior fixtures. They did come through, I think, did some balances last time in the hallways, but this is a larger, the detail, there is
No, that's
a
more
number
the
of,
exterior and the abutters, so thank you.
Yeah, no.
Okay, it's just interior.
just interior.
Any other questions? Okay, I don't know how you guys want to proceed. We do have a recommended motion. I did hear Stephanie say we were looking for that last piece.
Motion to table?
You want to table it? It doesn't,
Yeah.
we still have a little wiggle room on it? How
Right,
do
if
you
we
guys
can just do it
feel about
at our next meeting, that would be the motion I would make.
Are you proposing waiting till the 27th or?
When is our next?
Doing
Is that
it.
when our
It's
next?
27th, well, the 14th is a workshop. It'd be the 27th.
Is that too late?
I didn't ask him specifically because we were talking about I thought we'd talk about the 14th, and then we had this meeting scheduled, so I didn't ask them if the 27th of November would be too late.
Yeah.
So I can't give you an answer for certainty one
If
way
we
or
had to
another.
sneak it, like if we had to get it in the 14th, could we?
We could, just remind me, Tom, I think they said they had the purchase order ready to go, and it's just a matter of getting the go from us so that they have the materials
Correct. They
in
would.
time, because they're looking at an evening. It's not just changing a light bulb, it's rewiring
Yeah.
and doing a lot of retrofitting, so they would need schools to be closed at night or Christmas break.
That's a good point. The work would be done all after school hours or over the course of vacation periods. Correct.
I mean, I don't know I'd like to hear how other people feel about changing the bulbs without seeing them. Are you comfortable? That's the one piece I wasn't set on.
I think Tom did send a supporting document, and it did have a lot of information in it as far as effects on, you know, I think the concern we had was, does the light bulb get in there, and, you know, are we going to see kids with headaches, or, and it seemed like the report that you supplied us with had addressed that, but I think the extra piece that you're looking for is maybe just hearing from somebody who's actually done it. So I don't know how you guys feel about, I'm willing to open that up for discussion if you guys want to table it, or you feel like it's something that's a go. Melanie?
Tom, did you say it was 2 other schools?
They gave us a list of, I think it was about 7 or 8 schools, so I called 2 districts to try to reach somebody. I spoke to one person who was going to try to get me some information from their facilities individual or principals, and then I left a message at the other one, and then I did speak to a office person at a 3rd school.
Who said it was bright?
She said it was definitely brighter than the old fixtures. They did say, as part of our discussion, that CFLs have a tendency as they age to lose their brightness. LEDs do not. I guess the color of lighting is measured in kelvins. They said our current lights are about 4,000. The LEDs would be somewhere between 4,000 and 4,500. So I went and looked up a light chart. It's kind of a warm yellowish color, but and I do agree, an LED light is different when you buy it compared to a CFL. So
I have to say I'm impressed with the level of knowledge you have. Sometimes just hearing it in finance, I was like, wow, we are really all experts on like kelvins and lumens and
Yeah.
the variations of yellow to white. So really, Tom, I appreciate that you've done that and answered that question. Does that answer
Welcome.
your?
Well, it sounds like it makes sense to maybe get that feedback, just from schools that have used it, because that, I think, is an important component.
they did offer they would come in and switch out, I think, some
Oh, they would.
lights in a room or two to try to see if there's any noticeable difference. Again, I don't know if it would happen sooner than the feedback.
Yeah,
So,
probably not.
Any other comments or comfort level where you guys are with the month? Bronwyn?
I was just gonna say, maybe if there's time for them to come in and do the demonstration, so people can see it, that would be probably more beneficial than the feedback. However, if it's gonna push the timetable back too far, then we move ourselves out of the running for it, that wouldn't be good either, but I think that would be the most ideal, people could actually see it.
I didn't engage them. I'd hoped to, and I mentioned last night to Finance Sub, I would try to get the info for tonight's meeting. We just got the list yesterday from the vendor of the schools that completed the projects recently to reach out to them. So I don't even know what the timeline would be for them to come in. I most certainly could reach out to them and ask.
Question?
Yes, Mark.
What's your sense of, like, is this an offer that comes up annually? Does the window of opportunity, will it represent itself?
Well, I think as salesmen, they'll tell me, oh, you won't see an offer like this again for years. But it is better than it was 4 years ago and 8 years ago. Most certainly is a higher investment on the utilities part than what they offered us in the past. As I indicated, it was a 4-year payback, and my recollection was it was about 50% of the cost, whereas now it's a little more than 2/3 of the total project cost.
Did you have a question, Karen? Sorry. And then
Oh,
Ryan.
sorry.
No, I think I saw your hand before, but I didn't know if you were just doing this. so-
My question
Yeah, go
is,
ahead.
can we put it on for the 14th or not?
That's
That's the
mine
big,
too.
if we
Yeah.
can, then I think we can wait a couple days, and if the 27th makes it impossible or more difficult to do it by the 31st of January, then we should probably vote now.
Same.
That was my question too. Can we just
Why
stick
don't we
it on?
why don't we table it and we'll put it on the November 14th meeting?
So I will ask them if they can come in and get something accomplished in the next week to give us that ideal feedback. And if not, I'm fully expect I'll hear back from
Right.
the people I reached out to today.
And I know, Diane, we'd already started to work on that agenda, so if you want to add that to the quick little business that we'll have to do on the 14th now, not a problem. Appreciate that. Okay, so, let's see, we want to move on to the budget, revisions and transfers.
Yeah, so you have two sets of transfers in front of you tonight. One for the general fund, and the second would be for our special revenues. So at this time of the year, I try to, in terms of the general fund transfers, I try to align our appropriations in a place so that when we start our work on next year's budget, so the FY20 budget, the amount that is appropriated in the current year is reflective of what our expenses in those lines hopefully will be to give us the basis for consideration of what FY20 will look like. So there are approximately a page and a half or so of transfers. A number of them are related to shortfalls based on salary increases or staffing changes that occurred after the FY19 budget was passed back in January, February of 2018. So the first set of transfers are related to salaries associated to administrators. Because we had not settled what increases the administrator contracts would receive, the money was set aside And the transfers are moving those funds from that line item to the individual salary lines of each individual or group of employees. The next group are, again, associated to the addition of the kindergarten program sections at Center and Blueberry. And then there are just some corrections in terms of where people were budgeted for and where they actually are getting charged, and/or some other staffing changes. So that would be our general fund transfers. In terms of the grants and special revenues, again, when we initially approve the budget, we make an assumption on how much we think we will receive. It's usually based on the current year's appropriation for our grants. And then we actually receive the award sometime in the summer or early fall. And the school committee back in August accepted the grant amounts that we were awarded. There have been some changes based on those award amounts that we've heard of. But the changes or revisions now are to adjust the budget to reflect these amounts in the line items where we believe or where we are proposing the funds will be expended from. So they reflect increases in most cases. There is a slight reduction in Title 2A and Title I from the original budget amount to what we were awarded, and that's so reflected in this document. So the total being a reduction overall of $69,000, with most of that coming in from reductions in anticipated revenues in circuit breaker and in school choice. We seen a drop-off of approximately 50 or 60,000 in the amount of school choice we've received, specific to students moving off of the choice program that we received additional funds for services that we provide. So since the student is no longer, since they graduated, we no longer get the additional funding besides the $5,000 we get per student. So again, that this grants and special revenue is to revise those line items to reflect the amount of the grant award or the revenue source.
Thank you, Tom.
Welcome.
Stephanie?
During finance sub, we did not take a vote on this, despite what it says. There was no recommended motion made or vote because I had asked for more information on the Title I and METCO line items. And I know that this meeting wasn't initially planned when we did that, so we didn't have, we weren't anticipating it being this quick. So I don't know if we can table this and wait for that information.
Well, I think we can answer the questions. I mean, we talked a little, in terms of METCO, I know you asked a question in regards to how we were going to be spending the contracted services amount, was I think what you asked, Stephanie?
I think I was asking for more of a breakdown because the line items don't, I think, they don't reflect necessarily what is being done with the money. So I asked for more of a breakdown of both the Title I and the METCO.
So, do you want me to?
You have the notes?
I do. So in terms of METCO, we are looking to use the funds and contracted services for a number of professional development. There is cultural responsive classroom training. There are some individuals will be attending a Undoing Racism workshop, I believe, this week.
Yep.
And then there is also funds set aside for family engagement night, the METCO banquet, and then we also were thinking some of the funds might be used to offset the METCO late bus, which is not planned for in our transportation line. In terms of Title I, the contracted services line, which would be $7,420, again, primarily dedicated for professional development for all educators on differentiation, standard-based report cards, the best practices in the classroom. So I believe Rick Warmelli, who is scheduled to be here next week, a portion of the funds that are in that line will be used to pay for his presence in the district. I know he's also doing an evening event that night, which I don't think Title I paid for. And the same with Title IV. I think you mentioned 2 lines there which were the contractual expenditures and the travel expense, the two lines I noted that you asked about. And again, Title IV is providing access to, I forget the terminology, high quality.
Title IV is kind of like a catch-all grant, and let's see, strengthening standards and access to high-quality education and technology-based, so it's kind of a catch-all.
So again, it's going towards professional development for SEL training and changing the way we educate students.
Social emotional learning and stuff.
There's another piece of it.
Yep.
In terms of why I had asked for it for a finance sub, because there are a lot of line items that I had questions about, rather than having it at the larger committee and having you go through each one for supplies, because supplies aren't often supplies, or how I would think of supplies, or travel expenses, or there's just a lot of line items I kind of wanted some more information on, but more in depth for subcommittee, so I don't think you want to go through all, there wasn't just like one contracted, I was really interested in where the money is going before we vote on it, but are you looking, we weren't anticipating this meeting today, so I wasn't anticipating a breakdown so soon either, but.
No, I guess then I would ask, like you and I talk about exactly, because the system can't produce it, so I would have to probably type up each line in terms of what you're looking for. I don't think the financial system can give me a breakout of what will be under there until we actually spend the money. So I would have to do like a text box.
We can talk too. That
Okay.
spreadsheet, and some of that changes as we go through the year, right? As we need to focus our money on different things, and sometimes
Yeah.
we get more money in the middle of the year, and sometimes they take it away in the
Yeah.
middle of the year. So
I think
Yeah.
that would be helpful.
Sure.
But I thought that was more fitting for subcommittee to kind of break that down rather than larger committee.
we probably have it in more detail than you do, I would say.
Yeah, because
based
once
on-
what you do, like, you're just entering in the numbers,
Yeah.
but there must be a breakdown.
We see a travel line, you feel like people are going to the Bahamas, and really it's like, for conferences and things like that. So,
Yeah, but
it's kind of odd.
supplies I'm interested in and where they're going and, anyway.
So unless anyone's opposed to that, what I'm hearing is we bring this back to finance sub just so we can flesh it out a little bit more, and we'll table these motions for tonight and move them to another meeting.
Doesn't matter.
Anyone have any-
Is there a
Zero,
time frame
zero.
on this?
Well, can we do the general fund one at least?
Oh,
like
yes,
get
yes,
those
yes, yes, I
transferred and
meant
then-
specific to
Yeah.
that. Yep, absolutely. Any other discussion on, anyone opposed
I
to
just
the other one, Ryan?
Question, sorry, I did it without asking first. Is there a timeline when this has to be done?
No, we can do transfers whenever. It most certainly helps if the budget documents for FY '20 reflect the actual amounts that we received in FY '19, so that when anybody, the public or members of the school committee are trying to compare where we're spending the money and how much it is, it's reflective of the actual amount. Waiting until, it'll probably be mid-December by the time it comes back here. Our next meeting is not till December 5th or 6th or 7th, I forget, sometime that early. So the 14th would be the earliest school committee would be able to approve it. So I don't know if I'll be able to get it in time to get, when I start getting my budget documents together,
Okay.
which would just reflect the original budget amount, which is fine. It just won't be the actual award amounts or changes to these specific funds, which is fine.
Armand?
I guess as like the larger committee, do we really want to get into the weeds of breaking out travel into the 5 different trips? Or
That's
whatever?
why I thought I recommended in finance.
No,
so-
I'm just saying, do we, that might be sorry, go through the chair. That might, me as an individual member, do not want to, avoid using a word. I do not want to look at a line too closely as long as the chief financial officer thinks that line is funded appropriately. I really don't need to know that it's broken down into 5 trips. I really don't need to know that, Center School's ordering more supplies than Blueberry to vote. So for me, I'd be ready to vote tonight, barring those, what I would say is a detail gone too far for the general committee.
And Stephanie? you-
I'd just like to say in your packet, it says that finance sub has a recommendation on this, and we don't. We didn't make it. I requested that information for finance sub because that is something that we would need to do in order to make that recommendation. Because when Tom puts it in munis, right? It's just a line item, but the line item doesn't necessarily match up with the funds. So if we're going to approve grants and special revenues, I'd like some idea. It's not a matter of, oh, it's just 5 trips. It's a matter of the heading on munis doesn't often match up with what is being done with the money. So I just wanted that breakdown a little bit more. And that's why I said I think it's better for finance sub. It's not a large committee discussion.
Right.
So.
Ahmad?
Then I would move on that the school committee approve the budget revision as outlined in the document titled FY19 Grants and Special Revenues. Amendment number 1 dated October 22nd, 2018.
Which one is that?
Are you reading the
The one
second
we're talking
one?
about?
Or did you amend it?
No, the first one, I took out the recommendation of the finance subcommittee.
Oh, you just, oh, I see.
And I apologize, I might have gave Diane that information, that finance sub. We talked about it back in October and early October. and
Muscle memory.
I do know, Stephanie, that I needed to follow up with you on the grant lines.
Any other thoughts? I mean, I think procedurally, it should just come out of finance sub to make a recommended motion if we do have further questions by somebody on the finance subcommittee. I'd be open to any other questions or comments on that.
Well, I made the motion, so I don't have a second, so I guess that just dies as point of order. Okay.
Exactly. Does anyone want to go ahead and read the other recommended motion so we can take care of the general fund?
I just have one other question. Is on the general fund? Yeah. The nurse's salary, was that the increase due to the, originally an LPN anticipated went to RN, or is this says high school?
Are you talking like the third section on page 2?
On the transfer?
Yeah, where it's 11,056. So the nurse's salary at the high school is being reduced by that amount, and that is because of the attrition that occurred there. So it would be taking it from that line and moving it to the next line below that.
I guess I don't understand.
The
but
new
that's
nurse,
just me.
the new nurse that was hired came in at a lower salary level than was budgeted.
Yes,
Is that-
based on the retirement of the individual here. So it's taking the amount that's listed on the nurse's salary and increasing the next line for the music
Okay,
teacher.
so
And again,
that's actual extra money that you have, and not, I just, to cover shortfall due to higher salary, I guess.
correct, it's really to address the higher salary of the teacher and the music.
Okay.
Because, again, a new
Okay.
hire in that line came in higher than what was budgeted based on the
So
individual
this
who
one's
left.
kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Or one
We don't like to use the word
Not-
robbing,
Not robbing, but that's how the
we're-
sequence goes. We kind of took from here
Yes.
to do here because of X, Y, or Z. Okay, I
Correct.
guess I just didn't
Yes.
understand the
And
spreadsheet.
usually the reason is associated to the increase, not as much associated to the decrease on the transfer.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Thanks for the follow-up, Tom. Do we have any other comments or questions, or can we move to the recommended motion on the general fund budget?
I can make a motion.
Okay.
I move that the school committee approve the budget transfer as presented and outlined in the document titled FY19 General Fund Budget Transfer Number 1 dated October 22nd, 2018.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on that one? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Okay, the motion passes. We will table the other recommended motion. Any ongoing business or new business? None. We do have to move into an executive session for this meeting, so I will need a recommended motion.
I move that the school committee meet in executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, Purpose 2, to conduct a strategy session in preparation for collective bargaining with units A, B, C, D, E, F, and H. Purpose 3, to conduct a strategy session with respect to litigation. And purpose 7, consideration of release of executive session minutes from previous meetings, not to reconvene into open session.
And this does require a roll call vote.
Aye, Armin Ray.
Need a second.
Oh, sorry, we didn't get a
Sorry.
second on the motion. I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
Second.
Okay, sorry about that.
Aye, Armin Ray.
Ron and I.
Melanie Rothstein, aye.
Beth Baron, aye.
Karen Moore and I.
Stephanie Jasmine, aye.
Brian Kelly, aye.
Meeting adjourned.